Hello fellow Brick fanatics, DJ Bricks here, back with another video, and today I have a review for a 2023 LEGO Marvel Avengers set. It is the Rocket Mech armor. It is set number 76243. It is recommended for building ages 6 and up. Comes with 98 pieces, and I purchased it for about $15 here in the United States, and it is our slightly smaller new version of this mech featuring Rocket Raccoon. But without further ado, let's start deconstructing this set and see how it stacks up, starting as always with the minifigure. Looking at Rocket here, he comes with a gun for an accessory. Of course, he has to. It's Rocket. It's very nicely built up for the few amount of pieces we get here. It does use the magazine there as a kickstand, as always with Rocket minifigures. The whole design of this is kind of loosely based off of his more recent appearances in a few of the comic book runs of recent, and it's also a kit bash with some reused parts here. Mainly the head is reused from the Endgame sets, and it's still fairly nicely detailed. You got the nice fur, and you got the goggles there up at the top. Very nice torso printing as well, with all the colors, with all the various details of his suit. But spinning him around, we get some nice back torso printing. And something else to note here, he does not come with the typical raccoon tail piece that we see on other Rocket figures. That is just due to him not being able to fit inside the mech suit with it on, so LEGO just opted not to include it here. Talking about the build, this is definitely the smallest of the three mechs we got for 2023 so far, which is fair. It is based off a pretty small character, so there's less pieces used here, but it still looks pretty nice. You do have a nice amount of orange used here, some black. You do have spots of brown, which is just supposed to be the fur poking through here. Let's start getting into the nitty-gritty of it, starting with the cockpit there. You do have that nice cockpit used from Nexo Knights there in an orange color, which is new for this set. You do have a nice printed 2x2 tile there with some nice kind of almost engine hood looking details. Kind of looks like the front of the Benatar 2, so that is pretty nice. You do have some nice shine to it, and it is using that newer mech cockpit there, which is changed up from when the Nexo Knights themed used it. It's got a little bit better of waist articulation, and then at the back here you do have some studs which allow for more customization rather than just having the ball joints in the center there. But fitting a figure in here is pretty nice. Remove Rocket's gun from his hand. Don't worry, there is a spot for it to go in the mech, but because of his short legs, he just stands. All these mechs are able to adjust for that, but closing it back up, Rocket just fits in there fine. And then tackling this back here, which has the most detail out of all these from the back, you do have some nice shaping here representing his collar, which we've seen in the movies there, represented pretty nicely. You do have some what looks like engine details here with some nice part usage. You do have his tail is actually represented. It's not on the actual figure, but it is represented on the mech, which is really nice. And it does reuse this old bush shrub piece LEGO's been using for decades now, but it's remolded in this nice brown color, which is new. And that is a pretty nice color to get that in. Looking at the left arm here, you do have that newer Ninjago mech kind of bent piece there with a technical in the center. It's really nice here. You do have some nice shaping part usage used for the shoulder up there. You do have this nice brown rock piece used to represent some fur of the hand here. And you do have at the bottom where the fingers, you do have this newer Mech finger piece that's been introduced this year across these Mech lines, but here it is molded in black, and it is very nice. It does its job, but it doesn't really let you really hold anything too much, and you do get 4 of them on this hand here. And on the right arm, it is pretty much built pretty differently. Of course, it's Rocket, so he has they made this arm one giant gun, so it is built semi differently towards the bottom here. You do have some nice shaping representing that gun, and here you have a clip, and that is just what I mentioned earlier, which is weapon storage. So you can just take Rocket's gun here, and you just clip it on there, and you do have storage. So I do appreciate that the designer did think of that and gave a spot for a kid to put that blaster so they don't lose it. So that I really applaud the designer for that. And then at the end of this blaster is a 6-stud shooter, and it does fire off trans purple studs. I'm not going to fire them off because they just go everywhere, and I don't want the carpet monster to eat my studs. So all you have to do to fire them off, though, is just twist it, and they all just go rapidly firing off in every single direction. And at the feet here, you do have some nice shaping to the legs, though they are pretty bare, but you do have some nice brown pieces representing the fur. And then you do have very thin, small feet here, representing Rocket's small stature, but they are built up pretty nicely. The only downside to these feet here is with the small stature of those feet here, you do have run the risk here of the back sub-assembly here is so juts out so far that it does cause this thing to be back heavy, and if you don't have the right pose for this thing, it will just fall back on you. So that is a little bit of a flaw here, but you are able to counteract it with the right amount of posing here, and just get this thing so it won't do that on you. And speaking of that posing, let's get into articulation. These back engine ones can go back and forth. You do have a ball joint at the shoulder here, which can go up that far, but you can get a nice roll at the shoulder there. No elbow articulation, no wrist articulation. This hand here does have the articulated fingers, so you can pose on those. This one with the cannon, you just have the ball joint at the shoulder, and it has the same amount of movement as the other arm, so that you can get a nice array of shooting poses for that, which is really good considering they put a shooter on that. You do have a waist swivel that can go a full 360. The tail down there is attached to the hip piece. With the small nature of this mech, you don't have the big hip piece that hindered Hulk and Thanos, so you are able to get this leg here at this hip. You are able to get it nice array of movement. You do get no knee articulation, but you do get swivel at the foot there, and nice rocking action with the foot, and then you get some nice forward and back as well. Here's all the extra pieces you get in the set. You do get a full assortment of extra shots there in case you lose any, so you get 6 in total. And then with a regular assortment of extra pieces, you do get an extra telescope piece, which is pretty fascinating. You normally don't get that. Looking at the instructions, you do have one small booklet. You do have that cover we've seen since summer of last year with the white, the shot of the set, but it is a render, so it looks super polished. You do have a QR code here in the corner for the building app. And inside the cover here, you do have that little blurb about the paper bags slowly being switched into sets, as well as a little thing showing that you can use the QR code from the front to use a tablet or smartphone to build the set if you don't want to use the physical instructions. Build is pretty straightforward. You do have Rocket down there sporting the progress bar for the set. Let's take 53 pages of building for the set, and you do get the parts inventory at the back. However, no cross-sell for any of the Lego Marvel sets or any other set. And then you just have the win at the back there with the generic minifig. Looking at the box, it's that standard size we see for the Mech sets. You got the Lego Marvel logo at the top featuring the new design for 2023. You also have in the corner there the little shout out of what property from Marvel this is, this being the generic Avengers stuff. So you do have Cap, Hulk, Iron Man, Black Panther and all that there. You do have a nice product shot of the set against little explosion and background and galaxy and stuff that's really cool. You do have the TT Games like circle thing for the minifigure, set specs, all that jazz. You do have the comic book minifigure paneling stuff. You do have Rocket up there sporting the actual size reference at the top of the box. Then back here you just have another shot of the set featuring the opening cockpit feature. Getting into my final thoughts for the set, the build was pretty enjoyable. Minifigure looks pretty nice as well. There are some issues with the build though. Mainly the fact that it is a little back heavy with you have to get this thing into just the right poses, otherwise that back part is gonna fall back on you. So a little bit of a con there. Articulation, this is a running theme with these new Mech sets. I do appreciate the build of these being a lot sturdier and a lot more involved with the build. However, we did sacrifice some articulation that I feel like we shouldn't have really. Elbow articulation, wrist articulation, those are kind of important with Mechs. Knee articulation, not so much, so I don't mind that being gone. No issues with quality, and going into the price of $15 for this. This is definitely the smallest of the Mechs here, so that whole $15 price might not look as good for this set as the previous ones, where you do definitely see your money's worth here, but this is still a nice Mech here, and I do really appreciate all the work the designer did, where they put in the bush in the new color there for the tail, and that was very creative. I do appreciate weapon storage as well, so all in all, I do really think that this set is worth it, and this set does get an 8 out of 10 for me. I highly recommend this set, especially with Guardians Volume 3 on the horizon. This set might just be really, really more popular, so I definitely encourage the pickup for either a collector or a kid is really going to enjoy this. It's a really good parts pack as well, so that does it for this video. Comment below, let me know what you think. Always look forward to having a discussion with you guys. Ring that bell, subscribe, really helps out the channel. Smash that like button, all that jazz. And I will see you in the next video. Until next time, stack on.